Hey Five Spokes Riders, today's video is on finding just the right amount of resistance. This is geared primarily for newer riders, but if you are an experienced rider, probably can pick up a tip or two. It never hurts. So think of this topic as Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but for cyclists. Instead of looking for just the right temperature of porridge, we're looking for just the right amount of resistance on your wheel. Not too much, not too little, something right in between for whatever it is that the challenge that your instructor is laying out for you. Super important topic because your resistance and your speed is what equals your power output, your effort. The whole reason you come to class, invest your time and money, right? So this will help you optimize your time in the saddle. So let's get to it. First we're going to look at what does too little resistance on the wheel look and feel like when we're seated, when we're standing, and then what does it look like when it's just right. Let's start with seated. If you've ever used a leg press, imagine if you had like a 5-pound weight and you're doing super fast reps. It really wouldn't be giving your legs very much of a workout, and your form probably wouldn't be so great because you don't have enough resistance to push against, right? Your muscles have nothing to work with. It's very similar to being on a bike. When we have too little resistance, very similar. Your leg has nothing to work with. This is what it looks like when you have too little resistance. You start to bounce. You see that? So try to use your mirrors. Also look at your instructor, right? Your instructor probably does not look like this, but if you can't see yourself in the mirror, let's talk about how this feels. Well, I'm bouncing, so it feels bouncy, right? But my low back is jarring, even my spine, right? And I almost feel like the flywheel has control versus me. So it can be dramatic like this. I've definitely seen this. Or it can be a little less dramatic. Maybe you come back from a standing climb to a flat road, and sometimes you take too much resistance off, right? And you can get that little bounce like this. Either way, what you want to do, turn that knob. Now look what happens, right? You go from like this bouncing to this smooth, even, steady pace. This is what just enough looks like. I'm in the mid-80s right now for RPM. I want to go take a little of that off, go faster. I'm still not bouncing. I'm rooted, solid. I still have enough resistance on the wheel to do a fast flat or whatever it is the instructor is asking me to do. Let's look at too little resistance when you're standing. What happens is you don't add enough resistance. Your body really doesn't have enough to work with, and now you're bouncing while you're riding out of the saddle. So instead of really looking like, you put a quarter in a vibrating chair in the saddle, you look like you're riding a pogo stick, right? It's this up and down thing. So again, if you can see yourself in the mirror, you see this, or you feel like your knees are jarring, turn that knob, smooth it out. Here's what it looks like in hand position 2, right, with that higher cadence, or hand position 3. Okay, just enough. That's too little resistance, seated and standing, and what it looks like when you add resistance and get rid of the bounce. Now let's talk about the second thing, which is too much resistance in the saddle and out of the saddle. We'll start with in the saddle. Again, if we go back to our leg press analogy, imagine if you usually use 100 pounds and you've got a nice cadence, you're on that leg press machine, you're just rocking it, killing it, form's awesome, quads are getting great workout, glutes, hamstrings. Someone comes along, takes that pin and moves it from 100 to 150. Suddenly, what's going to happen, right? Your form's going to go out the window. All your effort is going to be pushing against that metal plate and it's just too heavy. It's too much. And now you've lost all the benefit of why you were lifting in the first place. Again, very similar to when you're on the bike. This is what it looks like when you have too much resistance. You're adding, you think, oh man, I'm going to get a great workout here, right? And you start really working. And what happens is, you'll notice you start to over-involve your upper body, and everything you have, right, is just, you're trying to mash those pedals. Chances are you're not using all four quadrants of your pedal stroke. It's all about throwing your body weight so that you can actually get the pedal down. If you look like this and you feel like you're doing nothing but working that downstroke, take some resistance off. Take some off. If you have cadence meters, just look at RPMs. Anything below 60, you're working too hard unnecessarily. So not only did I lose my form and the efficiency in my pedal stroke, the other thing is, bam, I just went anaerobic in a way that I couldn't sustain. And so you're really robbing yourself when you're adding way too much resistance. So just be careful on that one. You're also straightening your low back, straightening your knees. Definitely don't want to do that. What does it look and feel like? Too much resistance out of the saddle. So let's add a big gear. You'll hear an instructor like, crank it up enough to hold your body weight. We're going to get up out of the saddle, and people are turning like crazy, and you come up, and instead of looking like a pogo stick, you kind of look like a pendulum. If your upper body is just over-involved, again, look at your cadence meter. You don't want to be too low. You want to be below 60. Just let some of that off. Right? You see how that smooths out? See how I have control of my pedal stroke now, right? So spare your knees, your low back, your breath. So when you have the right amount of resistance on, whether you're seated or standing, if we go back to the leg press analogy, if you have too little resistance on, it's going to feel like you have a super light weight on, and you're bouncing, whether you're in the saddle, out of the saddle, right? You want to add just the right amount of weight, just the right amount of resistance on this bike. Smooth it out, level it out. Optimize your form. Optimize your time in the saddle. Same with too much. Let a little bit of that resistance off. You're going to smooth out, look strong. Again, it's as if you just put exact right amount of weight on that leg press machine. But now, it's on your flywheel. Right? We talked about what it looks like, what it feels like, too much, too little, and just the right amount. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay awesome.